There are a million different reasons as to why what should have been the happiest time of my life was the darkest, and believe me, I've spent hours trying to figure out why. But in the end, the why didn't matter, because it didn't change the reality that I had postpartum depression. I remember the first full day of my son's life, his cries, his warmth, his complete and utter helplessness, and my great and overpowering love for him. I also remember feeling like I was falling slowly and steadily downward. People have described me as perky, happy, upbeat, silly, giggly, quirky, and fun. So I somehow thought that getting what I wanted, what I really, truly wanted, would send me over the moon. Instead, I found myself at the darkest place imaginable for longer than I thought possible. It started simply enough. I knew caring for a newborn would be hard, but I love a good challenge. I love that feeling of, I'm not sure I can do this, but I'm sure the hell gonna try. I love feeling in over my head because I know when I come out on the other side, I'm gonna be so much better for it. But instead of facing this challenge with an look out world, here I come attitude, I found myself thinking, oh shit, what have I done? And I felt guilty. Here was this amazing, tiny little being who I brought into the world, and he deserved the best mother ever, which couldn't possibly be me. He needed, no, deserved someone blissed out with joy and full of sunshine and rainbows. Instead, he got me, unable to stop crying and filled with deep despair. He deserved better, and I didn't deserve him. And this thought took hold in my mind and wouldn't let go. I doubted myself and every one of my abilities. If he cried and I couldn't stop it immediately, it was because I was a bad mom. If he didn't sleep well at night, it was something I had done. If, God forbid, he sneezed, well, obviously he was allergic to me. Never mind that he was nursing like a champ and absolutely thriving. I felt like a colossal failure. I devoured parenting books in search of the answer. You know, the one that's going to make me the perfect mom and ensure that my child never has a single bad thing happen to him. Yeah, you can imagine how well that went. With every book and every day, I found myself sinking deeper and deeper into the dark place. My husband tried everything to help me through my depression. He was endlessly patient and understanding when I called him at work to make him promise me he was coming home at the end of the day. Not because I didn't trust him. Oh no, I didn't trust me. I truly believed that the longer I was alone with my son, the more my mere presence was robbing him of the life he so richly deserved. I never thought of hurting him. In fact, it was the opposite. I loved him so much that even as I sobbed under the weight of my darkness, I held him closer, nursed him, or gently changed him. All of my pain was directed right at myself. I was in my own crosshairs, and it turns out I have remarkably good aim. The darkest moment came when I truly thought that my life was forever going to be caring for a nursing newborn, that I'd never be able to leave the house without more luggage than most take to Europe, that I'd never wear non-elastic pants again, and I'd always be partially topless. That the faint aroma of spit up would never, ever leave my clothes. I could see nothing more than the same in front of me, in spite of knowing this phase would end. I remember thinking that the best, most loving thing I could do for him in that moment was to leave. Let his dad and our amazing group of friends raise him and remove my darkness and sadness from his life. As true as it was, it brings me to tears this day because I simply cannot imagine my life without my son. But that's how broken I was. With the support and patience of my friends and family, I eventually got unbroken. I got the hang of being a mom, my hormones leveled off, and my son grew, and smiled, and laughed, and delighted me in ways I never knew possible. But still at my heart, I doubted my abilities as a mother. I believed that one day I would be tested, and I would fail. That test came when my son was 8 months old. He'd had a cold and developed a terrible cough. While changing him, I noticed that I could see his ribs when he was breathing like he was working extra hard to get air. It was the day after Thanksgiving, so I asked my husband to call the on-call doctor while I got dressed. As I walked upstairs, I heard a voice in my head calmly say, "Dress comfortably, you're going to the ER." In retrospect, I'm not sure why that voice didn't freak me out, but it didn't. It seemed so calm and sure and on my side that I listened. Sure enough, we spent the day in the ER, thanks to croup. At home that night, my son started fussing. My husband went to see if he needed a clean diaper, and without thinking, I said, "No, he just wants to be held." And in that moment, I realized I was a mom. The voice, my instinct that had guided me earlier in the day, was the same one that told me my son was ready to be picked up. It was what kept me holding my son close, nursing him, changing him, and rocking him when I was falling to pieces. I just hadn't been able to hear it clearly because of all the other noise in my head. And at the root of that instinct was me. The person that fell into the pit had clawed her way back out and was going to be okay. I'd faced my test, and I hadn't failed. In fact, I'd done exactly what I needed to do. There have been and will be other tests. There have been and will be hard times. There will be dark days and days that I want to give up. I know the end of my rope well. And when I find myself starting to get in my own way, I ask my ever-spinning brain to please shut up for a moment and let the voice speak. She hasn't steered me wrong yet.